Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Iron Man 2020 issue number 2. Really hard to see the title on here as far as I'm concerned. It's a really weird choice of background color, but it works. It pops. It calls your attention. It says, hey, look over here. Honestly, I think it could have been done better. But whatever, man. Making white on neon green, if that's what you want to do, cool. The problem with the cover as far as I see is it really doesn't explain the excellence that is inside this comic book. Genuinely blew me away. To me, it puts Slott back on one of those top tiers of what this guy is capable of doing. He's told some of the best comic book stories in the past, I don't know how long he's been writing comic books for, 2 decades, longer? I don't know, man. But dude, great stuff in here. You get to see Slott at some of his best. Anyway, let's get talking about who made this comic book. We'll talk more about the book itself. Writer is Dan Slott and Christos Gage. Art, Pete Woods. Letters, VC's Joe Caramagna. Pete Woods doing the cover. Ron Lim and Israel Silva and Super Log and Simon Bianchi and Mike Del Mundo all do variant covers. Carlos Lau is the graphic designer, and Iron Man was created by Stan Lee, Larry Lieber, Don Heck, and Jack Kirby. So, yeah, this was fun, man. This was seriously fun. First off, you have a bunch of... There's some parts in here where I'm literally reading this and I'm thinking to myself, I don't need to be reading this stuff. It's Herbie acting like the Terminator. It's Quasimodo showing up and showing how tough he is. And it's funny because there's a lot of people who look at Quasimodo and say, who is this guy? There's some people who look at him and it's like, yeah, I know the guy. I don't really know what he does. Basically, the main thing Quasimodo does is he gets hit. And he doesn't mind because he really is just that tough. He's a tough SOB. So when Arno Stark throws a car at him, like, only one? Dude, you better get a whole lot more cars than that. But whatever, man. It's just me. Anyway, I dug on this. I thought that this was, really cool in the beginning. It was a great little way to build up into the actual story because it actually led to something. Arno Stark notices one of the uninhibitor bands that Herbie winds up dropping after the car gets thrown at Quasimodo while these guys are all going on the rescue missions. Also, a really fun moment with Stingray, a character who doesn't get enough love. And in this, it was a really fun moment. I looked at this, I laughed. I didn't stand up. Sometimes I'll stand up and walk around when a really good moment happens in the comic book. I didn't quite stand up, but I did put the book down and smile, look around a little bit, and think how cool that moment was. That was pretty cool. Anyway, what have you now? So Arno Stark notices something and he's able to lay out a plan. Look, the idea has always been that Arno Stark is smarter than Tony, right? So when you get to see everything that happens in this book, to me, it just makes perfect sense. And I really dug the way this went. Slott at first started to do something that I thought I was going to hate. I really looked at it. Well, I don't know about hate, strong word, but you get what I'm saying. I thought I was just going to straight up not like it at all. Because he starts doing a thing with the 13th floor. The 13th floor, dude, every single building, condo, apartment, whatever, they always do a thing. There is no 13th floor because people think it's unlucky. Like, it's so stupid. It's sad. It's pathetic. And most buildings, they usually just skip over the 13th floor. They just simply go from 12 to 14. But they're, so the 14th floor is technically the 13th floor, right? They don't actually build a floor with nothing on there. And yeah, but anyway, stuff like that works when Scott Snyder wrote it a long time ago, and it hasn't really been explored that many times before, prior to that. So that one worked. So when Slott is doing it here, I'm thinking, why would you go to this stupid old school thing? It's never going to be better than the Court of Owls, right? I mean, unless you could, but I doubt it. Didn't matter. Because Slott right away is like, oh yeah, so we're going to do this. And look, 13th floor, that's the main part of our plan. And all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? I see what you did with that. And I'm genuinely impressed. I am genuinely impressed, man. This dude, he pulled it off. Slott, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. There are people who don't like his work. Me, I was disappointed with the current Slott because I'm just like, he just... Ever since he finished up his run on Spider-Man, I haven't enjoyed what he's been doing on Fantastic Four. I dropped it. Haven't been enjoying what he was doing on Tony Stark Iron Man. I dropped it. Before it even finished, knowing he was going to finish in 2 more issues. I just dropped it. I took a chance at Iron Man 2020 #1. I'm like, you know what? If this dude's been building everything towards this, just for a January release, okay, fine. I'll give it a shot. First issue was good enough to bring me here. I get the feeling that Iron Man's going back in my pull list. So, Iron Man 2020, my peeps. This is a hot book right now. Story purpose. Are the new characters showing up? Is this key issue? Is this, collector must have and stuff like that? Nah, man. Nah, I don't see anything like that, happening in here. What I do see is a very story-driven, almost character-driven story. I really would like there to be more character-driven, but like realistically, it's all about Arno and Tony. And that's fine because it is a Tony book, but when you've got so many people in the book, you kind of want to see more. But you know what? Honestly, there's the opportunity for all of that, especially when you've got all these tie-ins coming in. I'm going to show you the list of tie-ins again because it's actually kind of important. It's making me think that, maybe I will start getting all of these. I'm glad that they did this, man. They got the first 2 issues out. Now they're going to release Machine Man, Force Works. We're going to wind up seeing Force Works again, I think, next month. Matthew Rosenberg. So anyway, we got all these books showing up. I'm glad they did 2 issues of Iron Man 2020, the main title, first. Because with these 2 issues, seeing how good this is, I am now willing to give all these other offshoots, these tie-ins. I'm willing to at least give them a shot because this is where the character development could actually happen. And if it doesn't, okay, waste of comic book, waste of money. I'm just going to stop buying them, and then you're going to have comic books with ridiculously low sales that hopefully Marvel will lose some money off of and then learn their lesson from, right? But if they are character-driven, they don't have to be story-driven necessarily, but if they're character-driven, and that's where we get the character from, and then we get remnants of that in the main story itself, this comic book, Iron Man 2020, dude, you're talking about an excellent, still technically self-contained event because you're not talking about it crossing over to other comic books, only auxiliary comic books that are only coming out for a little while, and then it's like, it's just tied for this and then it's going to disappear. It's not crossing over into the pages of Venom or Thor or Captain America or anything like that. It's a standalone event with a couple of auxiliary issues in it. This could be good, and I genuinely hope that it is, because seriously, like, this book right now is hot. I'm not entirely sure what Christos Gage is doing here. If he's doing the same thing that Zub was doing, where he's just in it to make sure that the main man, Mr. Slott, stays on track with his writing, then okay, so be it. So be it. He's, making sure he's going to hit all of his timelines. Okay, whatever, it is what it is. But for the most part, the story in and of itself, fantastic. I am digging this story big time. Anyway, guys, don't forget to like. Hopefully you subscribe with the bell icon. Check out all the other videos here. And please consider watching the ads for all of your favorite comic book YouTubers, or all of your favorite YouTubers, because that's actually the only way that us YouTubers make money, is through the complete watching of the ads. Even if you're going to watch your next video in a different screen, please consider it. Let the ads run to the end, because that's how we all get paid. Love you guys. Professor Bell, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.